today. And then we're just going to wait a few minutes for more people to join us as we're just starting really on time. And then again, thank you all for being here with us. Just wait a little bit, okay? Let me see everybody who is here with us today. We have, so our impact team is all here, amazing. Everyone who is making the magic happening every day in so many communities around the world. Arnaud, let's say hi to everybody. Rui, Branca, Brian, amazing. Really excited to hear you speaking lately. Rafael Pinto. Hello, everyone. So thank you all on time. Amazing. Just wait a bit more. Hi, Shonda, Hillary, Juan. Amazing. And then we have a chat here on the side. You can, during the event, send questions, interact with each other. We would love to hear from where you're talking to. Where are you from around in the world? We have people in Europe, in United States, and Americas. It will be pretty amazing to get to know where are you from and how did you know about Impact Market? Portugal, amazing. Yeah, I'm talking from Portugal today as well, but I'm from Brazil originally. Portugal, a lot of Portuguese in here. Yeah, Argentina, amazing. Juan, hola. Buenas tardes. France, bonjour. I want to know all the languages to say hi in all the languages, but USA, amazing. Another Brazilian and Portugal. Hi, Branca. Hola. Buenísimo. Philippines, amazing. Kenya, wow, such an international crowd. I'm delighted. Really happy to have you all here with us. Bali, I'm jealous. Amazing, Shonda. So, okay, let's start. My name is Suzanne Zapelon. I'm in charge of communication and Latin communities here at Impact Market. And Hafa, you're mute. Sorry. We want to hear your beautiful voice. You just mute.
Whoa! Hi, I am Rafael Schmidt, Brazil Country Manager at Impact Market. Well, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the Impact UBI Summit, organized by Impact Market, the FET Summit, focused on unconditional basic income in blockchain as key mechanism to end extreme poverty.
Amazing. Thank you. Rafael, he's our rock star in charge of our Brazilian communities. So yeah, we're all here together to talk about blockchain and conditional basic income. Due to the pandemic, this challenge of fighting extreme poverty became even bigger because like millions of people are falling below the extreme poverty line. Decades of progress fighting extreme poverty are now in reverse due to the COVID. We all seeing this in our realities in the different places we are around the world. And why unconditional basic income? Why blockchain? How can we help vulnerable communities all around the world and living in so many different places, contexts, conditions? We won't give any spoilers right now because you're going to hear more about this in the next sessions. So during this event, you'll hear from our great speakers who are experts in all of these areas. And this event, it marks Impact Market first year of operation, and we are celebrating impactful results with the power of meaningful partnerships to make the whole difference, to make this possible. And we are also going to announce great news, especially for you here with us today. And so for you to make the most of your experience, with us today. As I said before, we do have a chat that will be in the right side of your screen where you can send messages, interact with each other, send your questions, and we're going to answer whenever as possible. And also down here in the video, you can see some emojis that you can interact with the speakers. So feel free to use the emojis as much as you want. And we are starting right now our event. The first theme of today's event is fighting extreme poverty with unconditional basic income, a blockchain-driven unconditional basic income. And so whenever it's the time, we're going to have 3 sessions now. And whenever the thematic ends, we're going to jump for the next thematic. So it probably will be here inside the video. As you're saying, you're going to have a pop-up to jump to the next theme. Or otherwise, you just go click on the next session in the agenda. So pretty okay. So thank you all and have fun.
Great, Susan. I'm so excited to attend this session. Let's start.
Let's start. Let's watch everything. So I'm delighted to introduce for this first session in our event our co-founders because to share with us how everything started, to share with us this 1 year journey of Impact Market. So I invite on stage Marco Barbosa, who is our CEO. Hi, Marco. And Marco Barbosa, he was distinguished in 2016 by Forbes third under third in the category of social entrepreneurship. And he's also a co-founder at Solidar. Also invite Afonso Barbosa, who is our product designer. So all the beautiful and inclusive design that you see related to Impact Market, he is the one in charge of it. And he previously worked at Facebook, VU Labs, I don't know if I'm saying correctly, but Solidar and Enigma Displex. And he's also award-winning and patent holder. And Bernardo Vieira, our CTO, and he previously worked at as a blockchain developer and Portuguese consulting startup, and he won multiple hackathons. So you see that to build a great solution, we count definitely on amazing people. So I'm pretty happy to count on you here today. So let's start. Please, everyone, welcome all of our 3 speakers to the stage. So use a lot of emojis down here. Take the advantage of this moment with them today. I would love if you could share with our attendees today a bit more of how the idea of Impact Market, how this idea come from, and how did you all come up together? Let's start with Marco.
All right. Can you get everyone hear me, right? Cool. Yeah. So it's quite a long story. Initially, like the concept or the idea of kickstarting Impact Markets born within eSolidar, that is a fundraising platform for different causes and also a ESG management platform for companies. And for several years that we have been kind of focused on raising funds. And when we look at digital philanthropy in overall, a lot of platforms focused on how much they raise. They usually like to express their measurements of success in how much they have raised for different causes. The thing is that we started to realize that it's not so much about how much is raised, but also how much is distributed. And we see a lot of fundraising platforms, but we don't see so many distribution of funds platforms. And back in 2017, when we started to go more deep into the blockchain technology, we started to figure out, okay, maybe this technology allows us to make donations more transparent and actually allow us to reach like the end beneficiary in most of the developing countries that most of the people don't have a bank account, or even if we try to make a donation to a local charity there, there are too many intermediaries, and as soon as the money goes out of your bank account, you completely lose trace of it. So there is a lot of overhead on top of that as well. So when it's large donations, usually like the donors also like to kind of hire an auditing organization to go to the place and verify what was done. So there is a lot of kind of inefficiencies and intermediaries in the middle. So that was kind of the first step to try to use technology, in this case blockchain, to make sure that in the philanthropy space the money actually reaches the end beneficiaries, regardless if they are in Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Yemen, Afghanistan, or Ghana, or whatever. But during that time, this project, so we decided to call to make these different projects and independent project as well, because it's based on blockchain. But then it went like the bear market of the crypto, so there was not so many people interested on helping us during that time. But we keep like kind of trying to develop that project, and then we decided in November 2019, I believe, where me, Afonso, and Miguel, that is from Isolidar, like we were trying to give it another chance. So we went to San Francisco to the blockchain week. There was an hackathon there, and at the same time there was happening a Celo retreat near San Francisco. So we kind of so Afonso went more for the hackathon and tried to develop a first kind of MVP, and I was meeting with the Celo team, and they are giving feedback. During that time, like the concept of the UBI was very talked about, especially by Andrew Yang and other kind of leaders, because also that eventually, like the pandemics came in, the UBI started to make much more sense, and then we decided, okay, let's kickstart this project again, because like as an UBI approach, because it's very efficient, it's very direct to the people, and even donors that want to support like vulnerable communities could see all the money being used without intermediaries. So as soon as the COVID started, I invited Afonso and I met Bernardo. And Bernardo was the first time hearing about UBI, but as soon as he kind of read a little about it, he said, I mean, this sounds great, not only because it's a very efficient way to fight extreme poverty, but there is also because like blockchain is the best or the most ideal technology for that, mostly because in most of the countries there is no other way of reaching those people without this technology. So we thought that blockchain and UBI makes a lot of sense, bringing both together, especially to enable us to reach the most vulnerable communities where most of the people don't have even a bank account. A lot of the people that we have been supporting is the first time for them to deal with digital finance, and actually, like most of them, is the first time dealing with digital information because they are getting a smartphone now. So that was kind of how it started. We decided that let's do a kind of just an MVP or a minimum valuable product while we got a grant from Celo. We joined their accelerator, Celo Camp. And right after the Celo Camp, we had like the MVP ready to go, and we started our first community in a Brazilian favela together with Rafael. So that was kind of how it started, and it was kind of, we started the first community roughly 1 year ago. We have been learning a lot from that, from all the communities and all the countries. So we have been improving. I think that the product now is much different from the beginning. But leave like
Amazing.
to them also to share their side of the story.
No, perfect. Yeah, pretty inspiring. And then also to ask Afonso and Bernardo, really thinking about how challenging it is to build such a innovative solution. This platform helping people in many different parts of the world. Currently, we are in 25 countries in different continents with people with different technological and financial literacy. So it's a big challenge. I would like to hear. Let's start with Afonso. I would love to hear from you, Afonso. For example, the design challenges when creating a project, developing a project, thinking about so many diverse publics.
Yeah, thank you. So design-wise, it's quite challenging. We have many challenges that we have to deal with. I can share a PowerPoint that I created. It will kind of explain what are our design challenges in Impact Market. So by design, we don't capture too much information about our users, but we know the age range and what country they are. And we have the help of our country managers and ambassadors and managers from the communities. But we know that most of the users are women and ranging from 18 to 80 years old. Yeah, it's true. We have people with 80 years old using blockchain. It's amazing. So these are the people that we are designing for. As you can see, there's a range of different realities. And some of the design constraints we have is the most logical one is that they don't have digital literacy. So most beneficiaries, they only know how to claim the UBI. That is the most important thing that we want them to do. And actually, they do it. Actually, 23,000 people do it every single day. And the second one is the internet connection. Most beneficiaries don't have internet connection, or they have small data plans, or they don't even have internet at all. That's really challenging when you have a product that uses the blockchain. But for that, we have the CoTeniPay partnership for all the beneficiaries. They don't have a smartphone. They only have the normal feature phone. Also, really a big challenge is the number of devices that we have with small screen sizes. And some of them, or most of them, even broken and scratched. So, and almost all of the devices are Android. Also, the vision problems. They increase the font size so to make the app difficult to navigate because they have problem with vision. Also, the language. We have developed our app using Portuguese, Brazilian, and English. But we know that it will be almost impossible to include all the language in the world, and especially all the dialects on each community. Another funny design constraint is the currencies. For example, the bolivars, the size is 6 characters, and the US dollar is just 1. Yeah, we are also very focused on accessibility, especially typography, color and contrast, motion. For example, on motion, we avoid using background videos or videos at all, and carousels and gestures, because the phones, they don't really handle that kind of high demand content. And we also try to include, we avoid including gender specific terms. And like I said, the data is a problem, and we avoid using big images. So keeping the app size as small as possible and the fast API calls are really important when you don't have a good internet connection. So we design for everyone, everywhere, worldwide. And we think that for our beneficiaries to have a really good experience, we need to bake education in the product experience. So for now, we have a couple of initiatives. One of them is the Learn and Earn, where beneficiaries will be able to learn topics and earn some money by doing it. Yeah, we shouldn't assume that our beneficiaries know all the terms on finance and blockchain. So we at least they should know what they are dealing with and understand the words that we are using. And this is a good example, just to finalize, just an image of one user, old lady, just interacting with the Impact Market app.
That's amazing, amazing. And I imagine also for Bernardo, because we have all of these things to think about when designing the product and all the images that we are promoting, everything related to Impact Market. And then for Bernardo, it might be a huge challenge to develop the protocol, thinking we're scaling really quickly, onboarding many communities all around the world, and there is the challenges by developing something that will work even in those really simple basic devices. So can you share a bit about these challenges in a technical perspective?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, actually, some of these things that Afonso mentioned, it resonates. It's also the issues that I have, because from a developer's perspective, and before starting Impact Market, I've been more focused on smart contracts. And so I knew a little bit about backends and React. Never built a mobile app before, so it was one of the challenges. And I knew that, but actually it was good to have this experience before with smart contract, because that allowed me because of that, I knew that if we will be interacting directly with the contracts on chain, the whole app will be slower will be much slower and not like what it is now. And so we started indexing, saving the events that happen on chain. We started saving that on a normal database, and then we query the information from that database. But then it comes with another challenge, that is building this whole infrastructure. If you don't build it right at first, you have to rebuild it over and over, because it then doesn't scale. And we started to have these first issues around, I think, December last year. So just like 2 or 3 months after we started. Then we have to get back and change that to rebuild again. But yeah, that is more on the server side. But even also on the mobile app side, because of these low-end devices, it's really challenging, because you build something in a really raw way, something really simple. You test it on an iPhone or in some recent Android, and it works really well, pretty smoothly. You're like, oh, okay, it's done, it's fine. But then you test it on an older smartphone, and it's like, oh, come on, it takes so long to load. Why? It's so simple. Why does it take so long?
I can imagine. Oh my God. No, I really can imagine like testing all of these in all these devices, and sometimes you don't have the same experience as they have on the ground. I'm sorry, and just to finish, because wow, I could stay here talking to you and listen for you the whole night. But thanks God, we have another session with the three of you by the end, because I definitely want to hear more about what comes next for Impact Market. But I would like if Marco could share a bit of the key figures about this first year operating, and then they will be amazing.
Sure. So after 1 year, we were able to reach almost 30,000 beneficiaries. Currently active, between 23 and 24,000. We were able to raise and distribute more than $1.5 million. This is in stablecoin, Celo dollar, that in most of the developing countries where we are operating, the dollar has a huge difference, like against their currency. So then there is a lot of demand for dollar. It's also usually much better than the local currencies. So it drives also a lot of demand and usage. So our beneficiaries have transacted more than $3 million so far directly from their own wallets through almost 10,000 transfers. We are in more than 20 developing countries, and we are in countries like Venezuela, Brazil, Yemen, Afghanistan, refugee camps in Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, So Philippines, we are a little all over the world, but we want to make sure this infrastructure, as it should be, become completely decentralized and horizontal, that should work anywhere in the world, regardless of the country, the president, the banks, the reality on the ground. So that's kind of our goal, to have a completely open, transparent, and free to access to anyone in the world. So so far, this has been our numbers, and we hope that to scale those numbers next year, because now we have learned a lot of things. We know how to overcome a lot of the challenges, and we have been focused also on the poorest countries in the world, so we can fight extreme poverty as fast as possible. So that's kind of our priority for now. But anyway, you can go to the website. There is the global dashboard, and you can see like the data, all the data that is coming from chain, and you can see how we are progressing and how the numbers are evolving over time.
Perfect. And so fantastic. Thanks thank you very much, all of you, for sharing all of this with us. So we see each other again in the end by closing and sharing some great stuff with everybody watching here with us. And so I'm delighted also to invite Kingsley to the stage for the next session. Kingsley, it's your time. There.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? Hello. Good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you perfectly. You can go ahead.
Thank you for having me, Susan. Thank you very much. Okay, so the next section, we're going to be having it with Mr. Rainsberg. I would just like to do a brief intro of his profile. Mr. Rain is current president of Cello Foundation. Cello is a fast, mobile, open source ecosystem of technologies, organizations, and individuals that share a common mission of building a financial system that creates the condition for prosperity for everyone. Prior to working on Cello, he was an EIR at General Catalyst after serving as GoDaddy's vice president of emerging products. He co-founded venture-backed Local and served as CEO until Local's acquisition by GoDaddy in August 2013. Mr. Rain started his career in global capital markets at Morgan Stanley and also worked at McKinsey, the World Bank, and TechnoServe. He earned a diploma in finance from Germany's WHU and an MBA from MIT Sloan. So I'd like us to make welcome Mr. Rain for his section. Thank you very much for coming on board, Mr. Rain. We welcome you specially. Hi, Mr. Rain, you're welcome.
Hey, it's nice
Good to have you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited. I mean, the fact that we are having a whole summit to talk about UBI and crypto is just amazing. Maybe looking back to when we first got started working on Cello, one of the ideas that actually motivated us to start working on Cello was, seeing the promise of UBI programs, but not really seeing how they would ever scale to much bigger communities than sort of the various pilots around the world that had been kicked off at the time, and kind of thinking out how would you implement a UBI at the scale of a country, at the scale of the whole world, and what are the technologies that could enable that and to make that possible in a way that just wasn't even thinkable just 4 years ago. And so to us, I think we see universal basic income as a financial primitive that is just core of the financial system of the future. And we really only see it, to be possible with the help of crypto technologies. And so in this section, I want to talk a little bit about, how that kind of insight, or maybe how that kind of motivation led us to build Cello in a certain way, and how Cello has kind of come to life in a certain way to enable especially use cases like universal basic income, and share a little bit more about that journey and where we're going from here. Before I dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to Marco, Afonso, Bernardo, and I think Marco mentioned in his talk just now the event back in November 2019 when we first met in person, and it's just phenomenal to see what Impact Market has become since then. It's really one of my favorite examples of a kind of modern DeFi protocol that's really fully leveraging the strength of crypto, of Web3, but also doing a lot of good in the world already. And just thinking about what in the impact market will have 10 years out, it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. So with Cello, for those of you who are not familiar with it yet, like Ethereum, Cello is a layer 1 blockchain. In fact, we started out, our initial work was in the Ethereum ecosystem. We built a dApp on Ethereum, and some of the use cases we were most excited about, like UBI, required a certain set of features that at the time, and still to some extent now, weren't native to Ethereum or couldn't be implemented with Ethereum. And so we decided to fork Ethereum and implement those to enable applications like Impact Market. I think the key point is probably, and this is maybe obvious to people here on this call, sorry, I'm not sure what happened. I just got kicked out. Maybe obvious, but if you want to build any product these days, and with an ambition to reach a lot of people in the world, then building it to work on mobile is really important. And so one of the key design elements for Cello was to really think through the lens of what will mobile Web3 applications look like, and what kind of infrastructure is required to enable them. And so the ultralight client is at the heart of Cello infrastructure, and enables applications to trustlessly sync with the chain, even with low bandwidth and from just a mobile device. And we have over 6 billion smartphone subscribers around the world. And many, and I would say most of those, don't have access to a computer, and so are really cut off from this new Web3 crypto world. And I think that is something that we really hope to counter and actually enable a lot of these great innovations that are happening in the broader crypto space, bringing them to people on mobile devices. Secondly, and I think a lot of the problems we saw with the current financial system were around, the current financial system not being inclusive, and a lot of that lack of inclusion again comes back to mobile, but also to use cases that require much smaller amounts of money, right? And so if you think about a payment of $1 to someone halfway across the world, that is just really hard to do with the current financial system. And crypto here can enable that in a pretty unique way. And so if you think about payment rails and you think about microtransactions, you think about two things. You think about speed and cost. And transactions on Cello take less than 5 seconds to settle, whether that's you paying someone you're in the same room with, or a neighbor, or someone who's on the other side of the world. And that's really powerful, especially for for peer-to-peer payments use cases. And they're also really cheap in terms of the fees. So the on-chain fees are less than a cent, whether that's for sending $1 or whether that's sending $1 million. And again, I think that really allows for a bunch of new ways to think about even UBI. You could imagine streaming a salary where someone just continuously gets paid versus once a month, right? And immediately eliminate predatory payday lending and other things that really are broken in the current financial system. And so some of these technical features really not only make current products better, but they enable entirely new categories of financial products. And one thing that, for those of you familiar with Ethereum, I think will stand out as another big benefit is that transaction fees can be paid in stablecoins. And so unlike Ethereum, where if you want to send, say, USDC, you pay for those fees in ETH. Here on Celo, and the fees are much lower, but still you can actually settle them in stablecoin, and that dramatically reduces the complexity for the end user, who in many cases doesn't really care that this application runs on crypto rails, but really just cares about having a digital asset that they can use easily and ideally use as they would use fiat currency, or even better in their current life. And so a lot of the effort now of the growing Celo ecosystem, and we're there's a few thousand projects around the world that are being built on Celo, and a lot of them tackling really different parts of this kind of complex ecosystem of removing friction around people interacting in the digital economy. And so while impact market is one of the key building blocks here, there are others that are actually also making impact market users more successful, whether that's the team at Valora, who's improving and building the best possible wallet experience, to teams that are focusing on off-ramps to enable facilitating people going from, say, Celo dollars to Kenyan shilling and through M-Pesa in a place like Kenya, where that's heavily used, right? So there's a lot of ecosystem companies that are coming together here to actually deliver on that final experience that end users, that is not just a little bit better than what's currently possible, but in many cases it's a completely new experience that is orders of magnitude better. And I know we will hear from some of the other projects in the ecosystem as well today, and it's just really exciting to see so many amazing people and founders, entrepreneurs rally around this really big mission, which I think is really only possible as a team effort. And so, yeah, with that, I want to, first of all, thank the Impact Market team for the opportunity to speak here today. I hope this is one of many summits to come. And I want to congratulate you all for the amazing progress you've made so far. And I'm excited to continue to collaborate and really, bring impact markets to the billions of people around the world that deserve to have access to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rain. That was very inspiring. Thank you so much. Okay, so for the next section, I would like to make welcome. Thank you very much, Mr. Rain. For the next section, I would like to make welcome the country ambassador for Impact Markets India, and the person of Avina. You're welcome, Avina.
Hi, everyone. I am Avina Ajit, Country Ambassador for India at Impact Market. I am very, very honored to welcome our next speaker, Hilda Latour. Hilda is Vice Chair of Basic Income Earth Network, BN, and a wonderful co-member. She's also the co-founder of Mission Possible 2030. With the Basic Income movement, she's a frontrunner in exploring the boundaries of community-driven basic income, especially using cutting-edge technologies like blockchain. In her TEDx, Building Commons on the Blockchain, she even speaks about exploring the boundaries of paradigm shifts. Hilda, welcome.
Thank you, Avina, for the wonderful introduction. It's great to be here, and also great to meet the founders of Impact Markets today. It's really amazing what you have achieved within a year. I will share my screen. I'll just share my screen. What, my PowerPoint, yes. So if you can see it. For quite a few years, I've been active in the basic income space, both on a national level in my home country, the Netherlands, as on the international level. And since a couple of years, I feel we have finally have the tools to make basic income happen ourselves. And that is because of blockchain technology. As you said, Avina, I'm a vice chair of Basic Income Earth Network, an educational charity that's run by volunteers. We are a network and a platform for individuals and organizations related to basic income. We have 38 affiliate organizations from all over the world, and we organize yearly conferences. We also like to see ourselves as the guardians of the concept of basic income. A true basic income is a periodic cash payment, unconditionally delivered to all, on an individual basis without means test or work requirements. So basic income is more than just poverty relief, and it should be unconfiscatable and lifelong guaranteed. It is a financial stable floor from where people can do whatever they want with their lives. It's about freedom of choice, no judgment or control on the behavior of others, and the power to say no. It is the opposite of a social credit system, just so you know. Bien is an educational charity and has its limits. This is why a few friends of mine and myself from the basic income space founded Mission Possible 2030. We felt the urgency and need to use our experience, networks, and knowledge to start implementing basic income in collaboration with local communities and whoever wants to join us. After all, basic income contributes to the majority of the Sustainable Development Goals, and time is running out. We don't need complex top-down programs when basic income gives people the tools to help themselves and their community within their own local context. Much more efficient, and we know it works. We don't need more evidence to prove it. We can start yesterday and accelerate today. For centuries, basic income has been dependent on political will. There was always an excuse not to implement it. Explain to me that it is possible to inject individuals with whatever it is, but that it is not possible to get money into their hands. Last year, we have seen how efficient worldwide unconditional injections and deathly lockdowns can be organized, but unconditional cash is still a problem. I'm not buying it. Money is not really the issue, but it is a key ingredient of basic income. With the introduction of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, we are no longer dependent on banks to keep records of our digital assets and act as gatekeepers for people and their transactions. Blockchain is changing society rapidly. It has banked many of the unbanked in the global south already, and it is now possible to send money to people directly anywhere in the world, and no government or bank has been able to stop it. Tens of thousands of different cryptocurrencies and tokens already exist, and basic income blockchain projects emerge and mature along with it. A basic income scheme that fits the criteria of the definition of basic income can only be built by people who care with agape, unconditional love. Take these three extraordinary men, Evans, Billy, and Sarath. 2 of them live in Kenya and 1 of them in India. 18 months ago, they decided to bring basic income to Kowiti A. Kowiti A is a village in Kisumu County in Kenya with mainly small farmers who live from hand to mouth. A significant amount of people is illiterate and has no experience with technology at all. Food insecurity and lack of clean drinking water are common. Very little or nothing at all is channeled to education, savings, or any form of development. The process was slow but thorough when we prepared the ground and tried to find ways to get euros, Swedish crowns and other currencies to the pockets of the people. Much of it was lost in the process of transfers and went to the middleman. Marco Bobosa already talked about this in the first session. And around 4 to 5 months ago, Impact Market crossed our path, and today 367 adults, majority women, are now receiving 715 Kenyan shillings a week, almost $7. We had some hiccups and delays and are still solving some problems, but when we onboard 50 more, and we will, the whole village is covered. That is to say, all adults, because the children have no access to SIM cards. As you know, Impact Market is a blockchain-based poverty relief program distributing stablecoins, CELO dollars. You need an app for it, which is very user-friendly, but most of the villagers not only never heard of cryptocurrencies, many of them don't have a smartphone, or even no smartphone at all. So we needed to make sure the villagers would receive a currency they could actually use for buying goods and services in their local context, Kenyan shillings in cash. Kenya is relatively easy in this respect compared to other countries. In Kenya, the use of M-Pesa, a mobile payment system, is widespread. After so-called USSD integration, which is organized by Kotani Pay, someone with a SIM card can receive Kenyan shillings on their phone and withdraw cash at an M-Pesa shop in the village. One phone can have 2 SIM cards, so 2 people can receive per phone. Not entirely without intermediaries yet, but the results are impressive in my opinion. Less than 6% is lost from CELO dollar to cash in the local currency. Just after a few weeks of receiving the basic income, the immediate effects were already visible. It brought hope, dignity, and peace. The cash transfers immediately resulted in better nourishment of the children. Children are going to school more regularly because people can pay the school fees. We see investments in farming, such as seeds and water for irrigation. Group savings to buy goats or sheep. Teamwork on household and community level. All these effects in just a few weeks' time. I can recommend watching the interview with the participants from the village on our website. Watch it, it's flabbergasting, or in Kiswahili, ya kutisha. I have been a basic income activist for years. I knew basic income has big impacts not only on the individual and household level, but also on the community level. But what I have seen happening in Kuwaiti A even surprised me, and I would like to use this opportunity to thank and compliment Billy and Evans, the local community managers. They worked very hard on a voluntary basis and really made the difference. I know Billy is in the audience, so here's an applause for you, Billy and Evans. Thank you so much. In addition to the direct effects, something amazing happened in the attitudes towards politicians. Beforehand, people would wait for politicians for hours at a certain venue because they would be given $1 and false promises. Now they choose not to come at all or demand real policies that matter to the community, such as farming projects, infrastructure, or water management. The negotiations with local politicians turn out to be effective. 10 young people from the village are given the opportunity to learn valuable skills in the nearest town, like carpenting and other skills, plumbing, for example. They will receive a grant for it. Impressive results, but there are also some problems to solve. Unfortunately, some programs had to be put on hold because not everyone is receiving every week due to lack of funding. And I know the people behind Impact Market are working very hard on that issue, but I would like to emphasize the importance of a regular and guaranteed income for everyone from the start, and hope this will be realized as soon as possible to keep the momentum going. The irregular payments show us that dependency on donation makes a program vulnerable. Revolving funds is something to consider, but we can also dream recklessly. If so many things are automated and run by algorithms, the question arises, who should benefit from the profit made by these algorithms? Can and should we not build programs that are not owned by anyone but earn money for the greater good? Can we set up a system where we all win instead of the happy few? I'm not a developer, but I know it's possible with the technology of today. There are many communities ready to participate in Kenya, India, or wherever you want, and we can help you prepare the ground and make sure no one is left behind. After Committee A, we can go to Committee B. And of course, Avina, you know India has many challenges when it comes to reaching the last mile. But I'm very optimistic because we are already joining forces. Over to you, Avina. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilda. Thank you. I am inviting you all to join our next session. Please welcome Moses, who will tell you more about it.